Aloha and welcome to our Thrive Ohana full body cool down and recovery routine. This routine is designed and led by physical therapists and strength and conditioning coaches Justin Fukunaga and me, Jimmy Lin. Let's start off with our breathing, the most important aspect of our recovery routine. You're going to expand your abdominals first, then your rib cage, and then elevate those shoulders. And then on the exhale, which is going to be twice as long as the inhale, you're going to complete the reverse. With that in mind, let's get started. We're going to start off with the standing circular clock stretch. So we're going to be going counterclockwise and clockwise. But the precursor to that I like to start with is just reaching up and behind me and down between my legs and also behind me. So I'm doing an extension stretch, trying to pull my biceps up to my ears, reaching up as high as I can and far behind my head and down between my legs, flexing my lower back and my hips. I'm trying to keep my legs straight, and as I begin these clocks, I'm going to focus on that breath and make as big of a circle as I can, reaching as far out to the sides, as far behind me, and as far down and forward as I can. I'll even turn my body towards the direction that my hands are pointing at. That'll get in a little more transverse plane stretch into your trunk and your hips. Don't forget about your breath. We're going to be transitioning soon to our lunge and reach. So as we lunge down, we're going to reach up with either hand. We're going to be doing both, so it doesn't matter which one you start with. But don't forget to look up at that hand. And you're trying to get that hand as vertical and round as you can. There's always one side that's going to feel a little tighter than the other. Don't forget to breathe. It tends to be easy to forget about breathing as the stretches become harder to tighten up. So focus on that 2-to-1 ratio of breathing. Remember, this sequence for breath is diaphragm, thoracic and rib cage, and shoulders, and the reverse as you're exhaling. We're going to be transitioning back up into our downward dog position, where we're going to get a nice calf stretch in. We're going to do 2 sets on each side. Sets aren't going to be too long, probably about 5 to 10 seconds each. We're just getting used to that position. You don't have to stay there too long. I usually count my stretches using my breath. That helps me keep focused on that breath, which I find to be more important than that stretch itself as I'm doing my cool down. So the reason I'm not elevating my leg all the way up is because it puts so much pressure on my calf as I'm stretching down that it causes me to tense up. And I'm always trying to relax into that stretch. If we tighten up, we tend not to be stretching too much. We're going to be fighting our own muscle contraction. Here I've transitioned into an upward facing dog position, an extended spine and hip, where we stretch out our hip flexors, abdominals, our neck. And here I'm looking over my left shoulder to practice extending that neck and spine while I'm in that extended position. Extension with rotation is one of those positions that we tend not to go into very often. And whatever we don't do often, we risk being susceptible to irritation or injury with. So here we transition into our cat-cow position, When we focus on our breath, I'll be exhaling as I flex my spine and my neck down toward my sternum. And inhaling and expanding those abdominals and ribs as I drop my umbilicus down and lift up my chin. And once again, my movement is dictated by my breath, my breathing rate. Pulling that spine up as high as it can go. Then I'm going to drop down into the flexed prayer position. We stretch out our posterior hip, our lower back. I'm going to reach across my body, reaching my right hand under my left armpit as far as I can go, dropping my right ear down to my left knee for a nice cervical flexion and rotation stretch. And stretching out my posterior shoulder, weaving my left hand under my right armpit. And also dropping that left ear to that right knee. For a final exhale here, as we drop my forehead to my knees. Let's transition back up into our downward dog. And on our next exhale, you're going to walk yourselves back up into our long standing hamstring stretch. Curl yourselves back up. Acclimate to that standing position. Thank you for joining us. That concludes our Thrive Ohana cooldown. Please remember to comment, give us some feedback. We would appreciate it.